Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, it's time for your jingle. Go for your jingle.
Simply the best, better than all the rest.
There we go. All right. That's the new listener review jingle, courtesy of Sam. I hope we don't get like copyright notices and requests for royalties. So there we go.
I feel like it's fair use. It's just a snippet and it's me.
It is unfair use, but here we go. This week's review comes from Gator Cruiser, who writes, "Great podcast. I love listening to the duo on my way to work and on the way home from work. They are interesting to listen to and allow me to live vicariously through the recounts of theirs and their guests' experience during those times when I can't afford to go on a Disney cruise. Keep up the great work." Well, Gator Cruiser, thank you for leaving that review. I'm just gonna assume that you are either a Floridian or maybe a Louisianan.
No, they got to be a Floridian. They're probably University of Florida. That's what they mean
Gators.
by Gator.
The Gators, yeah. All right.
The University of Florida alums or current student, frankly. Thank you for that, Gator. I appreciate that review. That's a great review. We love it. And I will say ourselves, that's how we get through the monotony of real life, is by living vicariously through everybody else's cruises.
Shirking our job responsibilities and recording podcasts. So, Gator Cruiser, thank you for the review. Everyone out there, remember, one of the easiest ways to help support the show, head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars, and if you leave us a written review, we will read it on the air at the top of one of our main episodes, just as we did with the review for our guest today, Sam.
I know. We just read her review maybe like a week ago, but I'm super excited to welcome to the show somebody who shares a first name with me. I'm very excited to welcome Samantha to the show. It's funny, we talked about it ahead of time. She also goes by Sam, but we're going to call her Samantha for today so that there's no confusion between myself and the guest. So welcome, Samantha.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. I mentioned earlier.
Way to make the guest change their name for you, Sam, as opposed to you accommodating the guest.
Well, I mean, it is my show, Brian.
It's really confusing for me, and the transcript is going to be just epic.
I know, it's going to be, yeah.
No, that's absolutely fine.
See, Brian? See? Anyway.
She's just trying to get on your good side before rapid fire. That's fine.
Before rapid fire, of course.
Yeah.
No, we're super excited to have you, Samantha. I mentioned before we started recording, I feel like I already kind of know you because we've interacted with one another quite a bit online and through the book of face, as I like to call it. And so it's always fun when we sort of for the first time meet somebody that we've interacted with in particular, not just like once or twice, but more frequently. So we're excited to have you as well. Now, before we get to talking about your 5th Disney cruise that you went on recently, we've got to talk about your Disney history, like where your love of Disney came from and when you started cruising with Disney.
Yeah, so it really came from Disney World first. I'm from Brazil originally, and when you grow up in Brazil, you grow up just hearing about Disney all the time, and it's kind of like this dream vacation that you hope that once you get a chance to take. And with me, my first time was when I was 15 and went to Disney with my family. And from that point on, I was just hooked. It was my happy place. And as soon as I got married and we had kids, then it kind of restarted. And my kids have gone multiple times. And then, of course, because you can't go all the time, you start listening to podcasts and just reliving everything you can possibly do via the podcasts. And then you start hearing about cruising and Disney cruising, and that intrigued me. So I organized our first cruise for the family. My dad joined that one as well back in 2018. And that was a 4-night on the Dream. So that was our first ship. And it was beautiful and I loved it, except that my daughter at the time, she was sick for half the cruise. And she was just very heavily congested. Like the morning of, as we were embarking the ship, she started feeling just very congested and she couldn't sleep overnight. So it wasn't ideal. And I had to kind of convince my husband to, no, let's give it another try. I didn't want to let go. So we kept trying, kept doing it, did concierge a couple of times, and that was super special. And we just really fell in love with it. And this cruise was, this was not really a planned cruise, the one we just did to Alaska, because we did Alaska last summer. We did an ABD to Alaska, the four of us.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. It was like a dream trip. But then my dad told me, so my dad still lives in Brazil, and he said, oh, I'm going to travel through Canada and do a cruise to Alaska. And I'm like, well, I'll come. And when I said that, my daughter, she's 11 now, she raised her hand and said, well, I'll be on vacation. I'll come too. So, and then I told my dad, listen, if Julia is coming, then it needs to be a Disney cruise. I'm sorry, but it's just going to have to be, because he usually does other cruise lines. He's done NCL and is it Viking, the other one?
Yeah, Viking is a really, it's a really nice one. Absolutely.
But I said, no, if Julia is coming, I'm sorry, it's going to be Disney. So the three of us went on this cruise, and it was our fifth.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So you got to go on the Wonder out of Vancouver in Alaska. That's, for us, a bucket list cruise that we're about to go on as we're recording this. And for many people, I think a bucket list cruise. Now, you were able to convince your dad to go on Disney Cruise Line because Julia was going to come with you instead of going on one of his preferred cruise lines. Were you at all nervous about whether or not he would like Disney? Like, was he a Disney fan? I mean, you guys did go when you said 15 for your first trip to Walt Disney World. That's a big trip from Brazil, of course. But like, did you think that, okay, he's at least likes Disney, so I feel like he'll like a Disney cruise?
Yeah. So he likes Disney, but maybe not as much as I do. I was nervous about it. I really desperately wanted him to really like it. And as a result, I ended up upgrading the cruise to Concierge as well. Wasn't going to be Concierge because this is an expensive one. So I was like torn. But because of him, I'm like, no, let's do it. Let's do it. And I was just trying to make it as good as possible for him. And he loved it. He definitely had a good time. He still, he would poke me every now and again saying, oh, there are only 3 restaurants. Wow. In the other cruise lines, I've seen 11 restaurants and this and that. So he would poke me every now and again. But he is a Disney fan and he had a great time. So it was worth it.
Technically, there's 4 restaurants. And on some ships, there's 5. So, technically, if we're going to get technical about it, yeah.
Yeah. Plus a buffet, but that's not open for dinner. So, and other cruise lines.
Very true.
Yeah. But he's right. Disney does not have as many specialty dining options as the other cruise lines. And many of those other cruise lines, the specialty dining is open for adults and children. Whereas on Disney, the specialty dining that's currently available, that will be different on the Adventure, but currently available is adult only specialty dining. So I can understand a little bit of that criticism.
But other cruise lines don't have Mickey Mouse dancing through the restaurant. They don't have a rat infestation on board.
No, they don't. I mean, they don't have the storytelling, the theming. I mean, the whimsy, the magic of Disney. There's no comparison. Absolutely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the planning. In particular, because you're a concierge, because the planning is a little bit different when you're sailing concierge than when you're not sailing concierge, because your booking window is the earliest booking window, and you can do your booking a little bit differently. You can email in your booking requests at 130 days at midnight, rather than waiting for the booking window to self-book at 123 days, which is both concierge and Pearl cruisers can book in the app at that time. Did you guys send in an email of requests of what you wanted to book as far as excursions or any of the other onboard experiences that you have to book in advance?
Yeah, right away. I was counting the days, and I actually think that the excursions we booked were very similar to the ones you guys booked. Because I think Brian, you posted to the Facebook group what you guys were considering or having booked already. I don't quite remember, and I think they were very similar. And being able to send that email, that is very helpful. To be able to get some of the excursions that you don't always get when you're last to book. I was still silver castaway at the time because this was my fifth cruise, so that was super helpful. And yes, I was asking my dad, oh, what kind of drinks do you want in the room? We can have that, do you want extra blankets? Let's have extra blankets, which, by the way, ended up being more useful than I thought, because I wanted to give my dad the main bed. So I slept by the bed by the veranda, and that bed by the veranda, when it's cold, it gets really cold. So I definitely use the extra blanket there.
That's a really good tip. I would not have thought of that. Like if you're either on the couch bed, which is also close to the veranda, but if you're on that Murphy bed that folds down, that's really right next to the veranda, if you're sailing in cold weather, like you may be in Alaska, you're having a little bit of a draft probably from the sliding glass door.
Even Julia on the couch, she was fine. She slept a couple of nights on the bunk bed and then a couple of nights on the bottom bed. She was fine. He was fine. I was cold, but I had the extra blanket and it was more useful than I thought.
Yeah, that's a good pro tip. All right. I might request extra blankets. I never would have even thought of that, but I love the idea of extra blankets in general, because I'm always cold in bed. I think the blankets on Disney Cruise Line are too thin.
It is literally above 80 degrees in Seattle today, and I guarantee when we get home tonight, Sam's going to fire up the electric blanket to warm her toes. Yes.
I'm always cold right when I go to bed, and then I'm like burning up in the middle of the night. I don't know if it's just my age. Like for those who are out there, I'm in my almost mid 40s, and women probably out there understand what I'm talking about. I'm like freezing when I'm going to bed, and in the middle of the night, I'm waking up in a sweat. So anyway.
Well, I ordered because in one of those Facebook groups, somebody said, oh, if you go on your veranda and it's a little bit chilly, it's kind of nice to have something to throw over your shoulders. So that was the original reason. But I only did that once, but I wore it every night on the bed.
Love that. Well, I would love to. Now, was this your first time on the Wonder?
It was. It's I've become a bit of a completionist by accident, because originally I wasn't going for that. I was just happy to be on a Disney cruise, whatever Disney cruise. But we did the Dream, then we did the Fantasy, then we did the Wish. And then this year came, and my daughter, she wanted to do a mother-daughter cruise. We did on her February break, and it just so happened that the dates worked with a 4-night Magic cruise out of Galveston. And I said, wait a minute, I see something is happening here. I have 3 under my belt, the Magic is here, and my dad wants to go to Alaska. So now I'm just totally focused on that and being on every single ship. I haven't been on the Treasure yet.
Yeah, so I was going to say that's exactly what you need. You need the Treasure, and then of course Destiny will come out in a few months, and then Adventure is going to, as I've said before, Adventure is going to ruin our completionist side of a lot of us, because it's going to be much harder to get to. But I'm with you on that, Samantha. I'm a completionist. We're both completionists, Brian and I. So it's going to be a little bit hard for us. We got to figure out a way to get over to Singapore.
It's fun, right? It's fun to be a completionist.
I still have the maiden voyage book, Sam. So
I know you still have it booked. We don't see any way of that actually being able to happen. Let's just put that. We've said that before on the show.
Wake up one morning and I won't be there. I'll be in Singapore.
He'll be in Singapore. He won't even tell me, and he'll be gone. Well, I'd love to talk about your impressions of the Wonder when you were, you obviously get to Vancouver ahead of time. You're flying in. Actually, well, let me back up. Where did you guys stay in Vancouver, and how long were you in Vancouver before boarding the Wonder?
Yeah, so we arrived 2 nights before, so we only had 1 full day. We stayed at the Auberge, I think is how you say it. The Auberge, it's, I want to say 1 or 2 blocks away from the port. It's very, very close. It's a 5-minute walk.
Someone just posted about this hotel in
Yes.
our Vanessa.
Vanessa, I was thinking the same
Yeah.
thing, Brian. Literally just today, or yesterday, Vanessa posted about the Auberge because I think for, the Pan Pacific tends to book up quickly because it's the one that's literally right like on top of the port or right there, it's like attached to the port. And so if that one is full, I think somebody was asking like that one's full, like what are other people's recommendations? And Vanessa had mentioned the Auberge as well. Nice. Well, you guys are, I assume, walking then because it's so close to, yeah. And so tell us, like, how did check-in process go? I feel like Vancouver, like, as long as you're not on like the first or second sailing of the season, it seems like it's a pretty well-oiled machine, similar to Port Canaveral, even though it's not obviously Disney's terminal.
It was super smooth. Can't complain. It was very, very easy. Signs everywhere where you should go and documentation. It was pretty straightforward. And because we were concierge, they loaded us on first, so it was pretty quick.
Nice. Now, tell us about your first impressions of the Wonder. This, as you mentioned, was a new ship for you. It's also your father's first time on a Disney ship completely. And so I'm curious what you thought, and I'm also curious what he thought of the Wonder, considering that he's only been on other cruise lines prior to this.
Well, so he had been on the Dream on our very first cruise back in 2018.
That's right. I forgot you mentioned that.
It's the first time in many years, right? So he said afterwards that it was nice to relive that again and experience the sort of Disney magic, even when we took one of those learn to draw classes, even though they use the video now. So I was skeptical of it, but it was actually kind of fun. And we drew Mickey together, just me and him, and he can draw much better than I can. So even though he couldn't really hear, he was missing some steps, but in the end, his drawing was like 10 times better than mine. But so we had that Disney magic experience together. So it was it was fun for him. Now, in terms of first impressions, I just have to, like, the atrium is so small compared to the new ships. It's weird that way. But my favorite thing about the Wonder, I think, is the art on the wall. All those drawings as you go up and down the stairs. They are super interesting to look at in detail. It's not just beautiful. I find it really interesting to stop and really look.
Absolutely. I feel like they've done such a good job of choosing the artwork on all of the ships across the fleet. It's very tasteful. Of course, it's all Disney, but it's not like, I don't know, it's just like well selected, and it feels like each floor or each like landing has kind of a theme to it and a aesthetic to it. It's just really well done, and everything sort of coordinates well with even the carpeting and the lighting fixtures and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's lovely. They've done such a good job. Now, you mentioned you were sailing Concierge. So you get on the ship early, which is really nice. Did you guys head to the sit-down concierge lunch, or did you head up to Cabanas to grab lunch?
No, we went to the sit-down. It was quite nice. And then you're not rushed. It just feels very comfortable. So we enjoyed that.
Yeah. And it's really nice because you then also get to meet your concierge hosts, or at least you might not meet all of them at the lunch, but you'll at least meet one of them at the lunch and be able to put in some requests if there was anything you hadn't been able to pre-book, or anything you want to change, or you want to book a spa appointment and you had forgot to book that ahead of time, or anything like that, which is really, really lovely. I want to jump into the ports because obviously the ports are the stars. And I'm being very selfish right now because you mentioned you think we may have booked even the same excursions, because the ones Brian did ask about in our Facebook group did end up being the ones that we booked for our Alaska cruise that's upcoming next month. So I would love to hear what you guys did at each of the ports. We'll start with Glacier Day, because Glacier Day I think happens before you get to your first port of call typically. Was that your itinerary?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk Glacier Day. Did you do the Glacier boat excursion? I forget what it's called, Glacier Explorer or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember either, but yes, we did. And it was amazing. You do get much closer to the glacier compared to the ship. And it was interesting because, when we were at the closest point to the glacier, we could look back. We could see the ship in the distance, but it was a long distance. And then at the show that night, the cruise director said, this was the closest we ever got this season. So she was all happy with how close they got. And I'm like, ooh, we got a lot closer. So I was happy with that. Also because when we did the ABD last year, one of the excursions is to go and try to approach a glacier. But during ABD, you go on kind of a raft. So for safety reasons, you can't get very close because if a piece detaches, you can have a lot of waves and you can fall on the water, which is like end of fun. Like you need to be removed like immediately because it's very, very cold. So in this boat, the boat is large enough that it can handle some pieces of ice. And they even explain the types of pieces of ice that they are able to go through, like over, and the types of pieces of ice that they have to avoid. And they get super close. So the types of pictures I could get with just my phone were beautiful. And during the ABD, my pictures were all like crappy, far away. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah. No, the Adventures by Disney trip that you go on for Alaska is a land-based. Of course, there's travel in between different places, but it's a land-based travel itinerary. But of course, like I said, with travel in between different locations. But you're not on a ship; you're going from hotel to hotel. So it's obviously different experience to be on an Alaska cruise on Disney Cruise Line than an Adventures by Disney adventure. Is that fair?
Exactly, and there is no overlap. So we were never in the same city or town that we were in this time around.
Awesome. That's nice. It's nice to have like two different experiences in Alaska. I've got to ask you about the meet and greet opportunity on Glacier Day, because I know that obviously we know from talking to folks about Glacier Day, the characters are up on deck. You can wait in line to meet with them and take a picture with them, and everybody loves to do it because you get a picture with the glacier in the background. Well, for those who don't know, Concierge cruisers get a special experience to meet with some of the characters and take pictures with the characters in a separate area at a separate time. I'm curious, were you guys able to take advantage of that opportunity and get some special pictures with the characters on the deck?
Not on Glacier Day. So they had a special time where a character came to the lounge, but this was like on the last day. On Glacier Day, you had Mickey up on deck for a few minutes. Then it started to rain. They moved everybody to deck 4 by the gazebos. So, but the other thing too is in the Facebook groups, people talk about it as if you only have one day, one chance to take pictures with Mickey and Minnie in their outfits, the Alaska outfits. But it's not the case. Like they wear that almost the whole trip. So there were 2 or 3 days where you could take those nice pictures with the outfits. And I was very happy about that because we had more than one opportunity to do it. So it's not so tight that you need to stress out. In fact, the longer you wait, the shorter the lines because everybody really tries to go for it in the very first opportunity. And if you wait a little bit, you're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the difference is people want those pictures with the glaciers in the background, and that's the thing you can only get on Glacier Day.
You know what? We didn't have the glacier in the background when Mickey was up on deck because we were still far away. They have to check with, I don't remember what technical name the technical job this person has, but they have to check with the people who know which arm to take to approach the glacier. So in the first appearance of Mickey in his outfit, we weren't close to the glacier yet at all. We couldn't see the glacier. So when we were loaded on the small boat, we couldn't see the glacier yet. Then we had a long ride, and then the Wonder came after us.
Gotcha. So it's later, depending upon where you're, and I don't know if I know it's like Alaskan, I don't know if it's national parks people, but who the Alaskan authorities are, but they tell the ship where they're going to be able to go that day. And the ship doesn't know until that morning which arm or which area they're going to be able and which glacier you're going to be able to see. And it also may depend what time you're going to arrive based on where you're able to go. And so that's a really good tip that your earliest picture time. Yeah.
And to be fair, we left the ship, we were on the small boat. So who knows? Maybe after the Wonder approached the glacier, maybe Mickey was back up on deck and taking pictures. I wouldn't know. But his first appearance wasn't with the glacier in the background.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. All right, well, let's talk about your first actual port of call. I know we talked about port excursion. The only port excursion available on Glacier Day is that Glacier Explorer, which is a boat that comes right up to the ship and takes people off.
If I may, just to say one more thing about the boat, because people like to say that the only difference is that you get a little bit closer. But the other difference as well is the small boat for example, in our case, they approached the massive waterfall, so we could see that really close. And that was because of the depth of water just there, so that small boat could get there. Also, we saw a whale in the channel, which they said is rare, but we could hang out with a whale and try to guess where it was going to surface next, which was a lot of fun. And it's not something the Wonder can do, turn here, turn there, go back. But the small boat can. Cool. So it was a beautiful experience.
Oh, that's amazing. And that sounds like one of those once in a lifetime experiences that as you said, they said it was rare. So it's not something that they can ever guarantee you're going to see. But that sounds amazing. That sounds incredible. Well, let's talk about your first port of call. What was your first stop?
It was Skagway, but my daughter Julia was sick that day. I know. She woke up with a fever. She woke up congested and said, I just don't want to leave the room. So I stayed back with her and my dad went. We had booked the train. You take the train all the way up and then the gold mine exploration with the gold panning, which is something we got to do in the ABD last year. And Julia had loved it. By the way, that's addictive. Like once you find a little bit of gold in gold panning, oh my God, you want to stay at it all day. You don't want to stop. So
that's going to be Nathan. I have no question.
Gold fever.
That will be Nathan. Gold fever. Absolutely.
Gold fever. You don't want to stop. So I was looking forward to doing that again. And unfortunately, I had to stay back with her. My dad went. So I asked him, well, did you do it? Did you do the gold panning? And he's like, I didn't want to put my hands in that thing. So he enjoyed the train, took beautiful pictures. And I think before the gold mine, they do some type of performance, some type of show. So he enjoyed that. But he didn't want to actually get his hands dirty. Can't believe it.
Well, I can understand that. We'll see. My mom is going to be coming with us on our Alaska cruise.
That's great.
Yeah, and so she's doing the excursion with us. That's the excursion that we have booked, and I don't know if she'll do the gold panning herself. We'll see. So maybe it's just a grandparent thing at this point. Well, it sounds like your dad had a nice day. I'm sorry that Julia was sick that day. What was your next port of call, and was Julia feeling better in order to be able to do an excursion the next port of call?
Yeah, I was praying because the next day that was Juneau. We had booked the helicopter with the dog sledding.
Oh God, thank God she wasn't sick that day. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
She was fine. In fact, even during the day in Skagway, like we just stayed in the room, like literally the whole day watching movies, and she wanted to order lunch. Like she ate a whole plate of like pasta carbonara. Like she was fine. She was really well. So the next day, I was really afraid of the excursion getting canceled because they say 40% of the time, if the weather is not perfect for safety reasons, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We wake up and it's overcast, a bit drizzly. And I'm like, well, for sure, it's going to get canceled. So I start asking the concierge guys, so when do they cancel? What do we do? And she's like, well, they can cancel like literally up to the moment when you're about to board the helicopter. So you have to act, you have to prepare and do everything as if you're going. So we wake up at 6 a.m. We do everything, in time. We had the first excursion out, and thankfully they did not cancel ours, even with the overcast skies and drizzly. I couldn't believe, I'm like, wait a minute, something is odd here. But then I understood it later because on the way back, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but on the way back, the helicopter went around a couple of times, and then the pilot explained having clouds is not a problem. What you can't have is the lack of a gap to go through, because what they will not do is take passengers through a cloud, because you have more turbulence, it makes people nervous, it can be more dangerous. So you can have an overcast sky, but as long as you have some gaps to go through, you're fine. So now I understand better how we could have that type of weather and still have the excursion happen. And I was very happy that it did, because it was out of this world. It was pretty incredible.
You got to tell us all about it, start to finish.
Like, you approach the glacier. Well, you fly over the Wonder, first of all, which is excitement in and of itself. You're taking like 50 pictures from the top, trying to get the best angle. And then you reach the mountains, you go over the mountains, and you start to see the glacier on a distance. But if you've ever seen pictures of a glacier, it's that cut ice, hard ice. And I'm like, how in the world are we going to land on this thing? But if you go deeper, you get to an area where it snows a lot more. So you end up building this pack of snow, but it's really light and fluffy. So they give you some boots to put over your shoes. By the way, you don't even need waterproof hiking shoes. They're going to give you the proper boots that will cover like your whole leg up to your knees. And then when you get off the helicopter, they even say, don't jump, because if you jump, you can just go deep. It's very fluffy. And then you meet the dogs. They set up this camp for the whole summer. So during the winter, the dogs are in their the breeding location. So each set of dogs, they belong to different owners. But in the summer, they all come together in this camp, and they select, okay, which dogs are going to go with you. And you go on the sled. The sled can hold up to 4 passengers in addition to the musher that goes with you. And one of you will need to help the musher brake, because it's 2 sets of seats. And if the dogs stop, the sled keeps going. So you need somebody there ready to brake. So one of you is going to have to stand in the back and ready to step on this thing that goes in the snow. It's like a fork that just enters.
I know exactly who that's going to be. It's not going to be me. I'm going to put that out there. It's going to be Brian.
Yeah, be ready. It was a lot of fun. I did it for our family, and it was a lot of fun. So they run with you for a while, and that in and of itself was just surreal. It was gorgeous. You might want to take sunglasses because it is so white around you. Even without the sun, it can be very, very bright. But it's one of the most beautiful settings ever. And after you're done, and to me, this is, I think, the best part, you get to hang out with the dogs. So you just you go to town. You just and you go one by one, and they want to lick you and they want to cuddle you. And I mean, what could be better, right? If you're a dog person, it's like heaven.
I'm literally, for those who aren't watching the video of this and just listening to the audio version, I'm literally like smiling from ear to
Sam
ear.
Is captivated right now. And I'm just trying to find out if Samantha did the lumberjack show or not. So I'll have to wait. But yeah, as for those who don't know, who have not been paying attention, this is a point of contention in our household currently. But anyway, yes.
Oh my God, Samantha, this sounds like an incredible excursion. Do you know if you went to the Norris Glacier or the Mendenhall Glacier?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
It was Mendenhall, because I don't remember them saying that. I think they had different excursions to Mendenhall, but I'm not sure. Sorry.
That's okay. So we have booked the Norris Glacier, not the Mendenhall Glacier, but they are very similar. They're very similar excursions, and so. We have our friend Chris and his family went on the Norris Glacier one, and that happens to be the one that we booked because he, like you, raved about it. And so we're just crossing our fingers. By the time this episode comes out, you'll have already heard our review of Alaska for those listening. And so it's kind of funny because our review of Alaska is going to be on a live episode. And so that will actually come out before this recorded episode. But I'm super excited, Samantha. This is great. Awesome to hear. About how long is this whole excursion? You're, obviously including the helicopter and the meeting the dogs and dog sledding and all that.
I believe it's about 4 hours-ish, 3 to 4. It's not super long. You still have the rest of the day to enjoy the ship. The one final thing I would say, they do not have a restroom, a bathroom on the camp. So you have to go before you get on the helicopter. Because, they tell us to go, but they didn't explicitly say, listen, there's nowhere to go up there once you're up there. And when they drop you off, they leave. The helicopters get up and leave. So you're there. And if the weather turns, good luck. You're there. So it was the end of the excursion. We were waiting for the helicopters to get back. And I asked the guy, I'm like, so where's the restroom? Because I was thinking, I want to go. And the guy said, no, we don't have restrooms. And I just thought he was kidding, right? What do you mean you don't have? And I just said, oh, of course, you just go in the snow, right? And he's like, yeah, but don't worry, your helicopter is going to be here soon. And then I'm like, wait a minute, he's absolutely serious. They don't have a restroom. So we had to wait for the helicopter to get back.
Well, that's a good tip. Because I will definitely go right before we get on that helicopter then, because I am one of those people with a very tiny bladder. And so
this is reminding me, my mom used to sing a song in the winter. It was, watch out where them huskies go. Don't you eat that yellow snow.
I love it. You do see some of that around.
Yeah.
Yes. You gotta watch out.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious with the dogs. We got some feedback recently that the dogs aren't always super friendliest, and you may not be able to pet them. Like, what was your experience with the dogs themselves? Were they, did you get to spend time with the dogs, or are they not really? They're working dogs, and they're not really meant to be pet.
My impression was that they don't take just any dog to go take you on the sled. They select the very friendly dogs to do it. So all the dogs in our sled, we had 8 or 10 dogs, something around there. They were all very, very friendly and cuddly. So we could just hang with them and roll in the snow and just, yeah. So it was very, very good. But my understanding is not all of them are like that. So they pick and choose who's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think if they do have a dog that is mushing with you, that is not friendly, they will tell you like, hey, this is the dog that you should not pet. Like, and we heard that from another listener that sort of is the case. They'll tell you which dogs are the friendly ones and which dogs are maybe not the ones that will roll around in the snow playing with you. So that's great to know. So for those listening, obviously, whenever you meet a new animal that does not belong to you, that you're not familiar with, you always ask before you start engaging in petting, this strange animal.
I can't just run up to hug that bear that we see in the woods.
No, Brian, no hugging bears. No hugging bears if we see one. So speaking of bears, we're going in Ketchikan. We're booked on a bear excursion. We are not booked on the lumberjack show.
So that one is different. Yeah.
So that one is different. But
so Samantha, you did the lumberjack show.
I did.
Yes.
Tell us. Okay, you gotta tell us.
Tell me all about it. And now on the video, people will be able to see how captivated I am.
Brian is so making fun of me right now.
I am definitely I might just have to book the lumberjack show for myself.
We might have to do a little switcheroo there. We'll have to see.
The thing is, we booked the lumberjack show paired with the axe throwing competition. And it turns out the axe throwing competition won as the most fun activity, which was against all odds because we get to Ketchikan. It is pouring rain. It is chilly. I'm not going to lie. I was miserable walking towards this excursion. I'm like, oh, really? What if we skip the axe throw? Can we skip the axe throwing competition and just go straight to the show? Is there an earlier show so that I can be back on the ship? No. The show is only at 4:00. Just go with this group of people. So we were maybe 10, 15 people I want to say, going together under the rain and just shivering, and it was cold. We get to the location where the axe throwing competition is. And to my surprise, it is completely outdoors. And I'm like, wait, you want me to throw an axe swinging back first, and this thing is going to slip from my hand? How many people are going to get hit here? Like, this is not happening. So the targets are in front of it, all in the rain and the cold. This is not possible. How can we? Anyway, so he's like, he shows us how to do it and the stance and how to hold it and the movement. First 3 come up. And then as the first 3 go up to try it, we observe and we start cheering for them. And we're like, before I knew it, we were all cheering for each other. And then everybody wanted to try. Everybody wanted to get an axe on the target, which, by the way, it's a lot harder than it seems. I couldn't get one. My daughter stayed over, so he allowed people to stay later if they wanted to keep trying. So she stayed until she could get one on the board. And it was a lot more fun than I ever thought. And then nobody cared about the rain anymore. Everybody was singing and cheering and just supporting each other. It was a blast.
I love that. I love that. I will tell you, I have been axe throwing with a group of, yes, in Seattle, I have been axe throwing with a group of lawyer moms. We went to it. There was like it's like a bar, but it's like a place that you go and do axe throwing. Like, it's really fun. No, it's indoors. It's indoors. Yeah. They have you in like, you're in like a gated, it's like fenced. Each area is fenced so that you don't have other people, like, they can be behind you, but nobody's like right next to you. And so they have like, each target is in its own sort of fenced in area, like kind of like at a shooting range. It's like separate so that you...
And I've had to learn to dodge axes around the household.
No. Anyway, okay, so I want to hear about the lumberjack show. Now, the lumberjack show that you guys did, was this the one that has a Disney character, or was this a different one? Because I think you're at a different time than the Disney exclusive one.
Exactly. Yeah. There wasn't an option to do the pairing with the Disney special one. So this was just the regular lumberjack show. The seating area was all covered, so we were not in the rain. Only the performers were still in the rain and the cold, but I guess they're used to it. I heard that it rains quite a bit over there, quite a lot more than in Seattle. So it was fun. Julia loved it. My dad enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. I just think it's maybe 15 minutes too long. I could have had a little, because they keep, competing with each other. Now you chop this, now you cut that, and now you roll on the water or something. It is fun, but it can be a little bit shorter. You might be better off with the bears.
See, Brian? I
chose it because this seemed to be the classic thing to do in Ketchikan. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for the classics and see how it goes. And who knows, maybe I have a chance to come back someday.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you can really go wrong with some of these. I mean, there are probably a few that are not the greatest, but I don't think you can go wrong with most of these excursions. Although throwing axes and seeing Donald or Goofy at a lumberjack show does sound fantastic. Although it does look like it's sold out on our sailing. So yeah.
But it's such a great point, Brian, because even when choosing the excursions, I thought it was so hard to choose. The list is very long for this cruise. I thought it was longer than for other Disney cruises.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of options. I mean, sort of, I think you go to some places and it's like, there's the thing that everyone wants to see. And then there's some like, we'll do a food tour. I'm just thinking about some of the European sailings that we've been on where it's like, there's like a handful of things that people want to do in that town. But in Alaska, there's so much, and they have such like I feel like a connection to the cruise industry that they, which town is it, Sam, that was basically built just for cruises? It's like seasonal for cruising. Is it Ketchikan or is it Skagway? I think it's Skagway.
No, it's Ketchikan. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There's another one though too. There's what is it? It's Icy Strait Point. Maybe I'm thinking of Icy Strait Point.
That's the one. The alternative itinerary, right?
Yes, it's the alternative itinerary. Yeah. So most of the itineraries for the 7-night itineraries that go to Alaska on Disney Cruise Line, most of them are the itinerary that Samantha went on, and that's the itinerary we're on. There's an alternative itinerary that doesn't go to Skagway and goes to Icy Strait Point. And I believe that Icy Strait Point, that town is just like only exists because of the cruise industry, whereas the ports that Samantha went to and that we're going to already existed. Now they are bigger. Skagway and Ketchikan in particular are bigger now because they are cruise destinations than they would otherwise probably be. But of course, Juneau is not. Juneau is the capital. It's a bigger city, and so it would exist with or without the cruise the cruise industry. But yeah, I think Icy Strait Point is the one that would probably not exist but for the cruise industry. But yeah, it is the alternative. Itinerary that Disney does. A lot of other cruise lines do go there as their sort of as one of their regular ports as well. Well, Samantha, I mean, obviously we mentioned the ports are the stars on Alaska itineraries, but I've got to ask, because this was your first time on the Wonder, what you thought of the Wonder, what you thought of the activities, maybe just some highlights of things that you guys really enjoyed doing, and of course that includes shows if that was on part of your personal itinerary.
Yeah, for sure it was. The thing is, I'm East Coast based, so what happened was every time we got to dinner time, after dinner, I was wiped. I was ready to go to bed. So all the adult activities I would normally do, like when I go with my husband, we love all the adult trivia, match your mate, majority might, like everything that happens after dinner, we usually do. And this time around, I couldn't stay awake. So I missed a lot of those activities. I have to say the time zone really made a difference. Even being a longer cruise, 7 nights, I still felt pretty wiped out at the end of the day. But still, it's a Disney cruise. I love the atmosphere. We did a few of the, like the tasting activities with my dad. So we did champagne tasting. We did liquor and chocolate, which, by the way, it took me so long to realize it was liquor and chocolate and not liquor. Like I thought it was, like sweet wine, the kind of dessert wine.
Oh yeah, like a dessert wine.
In Portuguese, that's called licor. So for the longest time, I thought it was like that with chocolate. No, it's like all kinds.
Yeah, you thought you were going to get port and sauternes and not. Yeah, I mean that, which is dessert wine. The sort of dessert wine category includes port wine, includes sauternes, it includes ice wines. Right, there's a lot of different things in sort of that dessert wine category, but it was not. That's so interesting. That's.
So I only realized this much closer to it, but because I'm not a big drinker, so that's why I'm like, wait a minute, can I still do this? But it was a lot of fun, and you don't have to drink the whole thing; you can just sip it. But I really enjoyed it. We also did the mixology, and that's another one that I think changed. In the groups, people were talking about the fact that now you don't get to mix it anymore; the drinks come ready for you. But the guide, the instructor, oh my gosh, he was so much fun. He was almost more fun than drinking the cocktails themselves. So I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it still. I had a great time doing that.
Love that. What about some family activities? What were the things that it's so nice to have 3 generations of your family on this cruise, your daughter, yourself, your father. Were there things that the 3 of you got to do together, or was Julia just off in Edge the whole time and not interested in hanging out with you?
Yeah, she did a lot of Edge for sure. Until she lost on the foosball, and that was something she wasn't okay with. And then after that episode, it was more problematic to go to Edge. And that's because on the previous cruise, she had won the foosball tournament. So I think at that age, you think like if you win it once, every time it's going to go through, right? And then when it doesn't, it's a bit of a problem. But we did crafts together, which was a lot of fun. The 3 of us just coloring together. We did some drawing. And we went to the shows. We watched Frozen together. We watched, it was my first time watching the Golden Mickeys. I had heard about it, but I had never actually come across it. So, and I have to say, the the dancing, like the production, the caliber of the cast, it was fantastic. It was really, really, I was expecting, I have to be honest, I was expecting something very simple. They'll sing this, they'll sing that, fine. Oh my gosh, it was a production and the dancers were on it. Like they were committed. It was really, really nice to watch.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's on the Dream too, but the Dream was your first cruise, and so you might have missed it on that cruise, or you don't remember it because it was in 2018.
No, I
and,
had never watched it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So it's as we've talked about on the show, it's one of Brian's favorites. He really loves it. I think it's a lot of fun. I wouldn't put it in my favorites category, but I think it's a lot of fun, and I think everyone should at least go see it once and decide for yourself if it's a highlight for you. Now, tell us, is there anything that we've missed? Anything sort of highlight, low light, something you just didn't expect that we haven't talked about before we subject you to a little rapid fire?
I would just say that the food quality in the regular rotation dinners, that was amazing. It was the most consistent I've ever seen. I enjoyed every single meal, like at a level that it's not always, like it's always good, sure. But it was like every meal, like, oh my gosh, this is really, really good. So, and Tiana in particular was, to me, was just the best. It was really delicious.
Love that. Yeah.
We did do Palo brunch as well. I have to.
Oh, of course.
And my dad was horrified with the fact that I ordered like this long list of things. He's like, you're nuts. And he's now going around telling people, like going at length saying, do you know what she did? And she ordered this and she ordered that. But I'm like, this is how people do it. I swear to you, I listen to all the podcasts.
You're exactly right. You're supposed to order like from every category in Palo. And then, if you're worried, one, we always like eat Palo for like lunch, even though it's brunch, but we try to have a reservation closer to lunchtime so that and we don't eat breakfast. And then we often barely eat dinner because we're so full still from brunch. So and then you can share stuff. Going to Palo with a bigger group, I think is the ideal, because then you can really order lots of different things and have a taste of everything. But, I say order whatever you want. If you don't eat it, the fish will. So it will not go to waste. The fish will eat that
That's
food.
what our waitress said.
There you go. I love it. Well, Brian,
is it that time already?
It's that time already.
Yay. All right. No seriousness. We have reached that point in the show, Samantha, where I need to hand you over to Samantha, aka Sam, for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and a dash of judgment of the round we know as rapid fire. So Sam, take it away.
All right. Okay. I'm going to ask you some Disney favorites, and then I'm going to ask you Disney Cruise Line favorites. For Cruise Line, you can choose across the fleet from any ship that you have been on. You're not just limiting the questions to the Wonder, but I'll have to, when we get there, I'll be curious as to your favorite ship now that you've been on the 4 classic ships. All right, we're going to start with your favorite Disney character. And by Disney, I mean anything and everything that Disney owns. So that's pretty much everything in the world at this point. So who's your favorite Disney character?
It's Stitch.
Oh, I love that. Well, we just celebrated just a couple weeks ago, 626 Day. So we'll give a shout out to Stitch. All right, what is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3.
I cry every single time when it's about like your son leaving for college. And I'm like, then I picture my son who is now in high school and the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even want to think about when Nathan's that age. My goodness, I'm going to be the same. Okay, favorite Disney song?
So the song that comes to mind every time I hear you asking your guests is from Tangled, I See the Light. So I think that's my favorite song. Very romantic. But I love that song. Do you like the song? Yeah,
I love that song.
Lovely. But when I was on the Wonder and we were watching Frozen, I'm like, ooh, this is pretty good. Ooh, that's pretty good too. Oh, Frozen has so many good songs, but I'm still going to go with I See the Light.
All right. Love that. All right. We're going to move on to the Disney Cruise Line. And we are going to start with your favorite stage show in the Walt Disney Theater.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast.
That's the right answer. Thank you very much. We can just end the show right now. You have one rapid fire because that is the right answer. There are so many wonderful shows. You mentioned Frozen. Frozen is fantastic. Tangled on the Magic is fantastic. But the right answer, if you haven't been on the Treasure yet, the right answer is absolutely Beauty and the Beast. And even if you've been on the Treasure, Beauty and the Beast or Tale of Moana are two equally right answers. So good job, Samantha. I love it. All right. We're going to move through the ship. Tell me what your favorite onboard activity is your favorite onboard activity on a Disney cruise. Favorite things to do on the ship.
Metromate.
Yes, it's awesome.
I always laugh so hard with that. It's a joy.
It is a joy. Absolutely. Love that. And then those folks who win, or even the ones who don't win, become on-ship celebrities for the rest of the cruise. Always
exactly. Fun. Oh, there's that couple who never talks about it. Like,
I love it. All right, your favorite rotational dining restaurant, again, across all of the ships.
This is a hard one, but and maybe because it just happened, but I was so impressed with Tiana. And I think it was also the combination of amazing menu with music. I just love jazz. I love that kind of music. And we had a wonderful time both nights.
Yeah. It's also, I feel like it's one where the menu and the theming really matches each other. And like in some of the other restaurants, that it's not that they don't do that at all, but it's like, it's just more done in Tiana's. Absolutely. All right, we got to move over to food since we're talking about food. We're going to go with a favorite sweet item on Disney Cruise Line, and then we're going to hit a favorite savory item on Disney Cruise Line. So we'll start with the sweets. What's a favorite item on Disney Cruise Line?
Probably the churro waffle. That's absolutely delicious.
It is. And it should be a dessert, not a breakfast food, but I'm not opposed to it being, the fact that it's served at breakfast. All right. Let's go to a favorite savory food on Disney Cruise Line, Samantha.
So before I went to Palo, I would have said the empanadas, those beef empanadas that you get in the welcome lunch. But at Palo, oh my God, the lasagna. The lasagna was something else. So it was so fluffy. It was just incredible. So I have to go for the lasagna.
I love it. You've picked two of Brian's favorites. So I mean, I like both of those as well. But you've picked, I'd say specifically, you've chosen two of Brian's favorites.
Plus a lumberjack show. So
okay, this might be the most important question. It's not the last question. It's the second to last question. Probably the most important question. Well, maybe not. Second most important question because the show is probably the most important question. But which one is your favorite ship?
It's the Wish so far. I have to say, I know
fascinating.
It's controversial.
That is a controversial pick. I'm not hating on it. But it is a controversial pick. Yeah.
Don't we rarely get that as the favorite ship?
I know it's a hot take, right? But I think it might be influenced by the fact that when we went on the Wish, it was a concierge sailing, and the concierge lounge just won me over completely. It was the first time I ever had access to hot food at the lounge. So that allowed me to have like a nice breakfast without having to go into that madness that Marceline Market can be. And the sun area, oh my gosh, that is incredible. It's super large. You have your hot tubs, you have your local bar. It just felt really good. I still don't like the fact that you can't go running around the ship. We don't have that nice track. So that still bothers me. But even, the elevator thing that people complain about, and I guess that's for the whole Wish class, that didn't bother me at all. In fact, I felt like even though the ship may be, I think, a little bit bigger than the Dream or maybe similar size, it felt more manageable to, like, I knew where I was a little bit more easily. I don't know how to explain it. I just always found myself. So I just felt very comfortable with that ship. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah. You were definitely spoiled by the hot food and concierge. Because that food, I will say, I think they did an incredible job adding that. Like when they brought the Wish on board, that was the first obviously the first in its class, but the first concierge lounge where you could get hot food. And they did a really nice job with that menu. I in particular, I love that breakfast menu in the concierge lounge on the Wish class. So I can understand where your perspective comes from. Okay, the last question of rapid fire, of course, is what is your bucket list cruise? I mean, you just completed a bucket list cruise, Samantha, but what is left on your bucket list that is anywhere in the world? But you're going to go on a Disney ship, and it doesn't even have to be someplace that Disney Cruise Line currently goes.
So Disney used to do this. I don't know if they still do it. You tell me, but they used to do this Iceland and Norwegian fjords combo that seemed glorious. And I would love to go. And I think it was an 11-day or 12-day, something like that. And then I couldn't find it on the itinerary anymore. Do they still do it? No.
Well, we don't know. They slightly change their itineraries. The European itineraries seem to change year to year, right? And I think some of that has to do with like what ports they can get into and things like that, and what's going on in the world is of course part of that as well. We know that from the fact that they don't go to Russia anymore, right? But I do think it could come back. We don't have any information one way or the other, but you're right. It's not on this year's itineraries that have Norway. They don't have that longer itinerary that tends to have Norway and Iceland. They do have one on there that I believe has Denmark and Norway. That's for next year, for 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I think Iceland also got harder for them to do. Well, they had one port, remember, that was like taken off the
yes, that's right.
the sailing, and there's been a lot of like the volcanic activity up there hasn't really helped them. So
so it could
think
be
Iceland
that
maybe just getting harder.
Yeah. But I wouldn't listen. I would say like keep checking the itineraries year to year, because they do change. As I mentioned, they change the itineraries in Europe from year to year. They add new ports. They take away certain ports. So I don't think anyone can say that it's gone off of the itineraries forever. But you're right. It isn't on the itineraries for this year, at least not for 2025 and not for 2026 thus far. So, but Samantha, thank you so much for playing. As I mentioned, you had me at Beauty and the Beast. So congratulations.
Well, and Samantha, before we let you go, I always like to ask, so what's next?
Do you have the treasure booked?
I don't have the treasure, but I do have the Destiny booked. It's
nice.
It's a 4-night between Christmas and New Year's this year, and then next year we do have the adventure booked as well.
You do? Oh, fantastic!
We do, and it's a trip where we're gonna pair that with a Japan ABD.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. All right. Well, Samantha, you'll have to come back to chat with us about your cruise on the Destiny in December. And then you'll have to come back again to talk about your cruise. Well, we might have to do a supersized episode to talk about your Japan Adventures by Disney and your trip on the adventure. So you're absolutely going to come back to talk about those things. But we want to say thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. For those who are listening, without wonderful guests like Samantha, this podcast would just be, as I've said multiple times, the two weirdos with mics that Brian and I are. So if you're interested in coming on the show,
our next new podcast venture, Two Weirdos with Mics, brought to you by the DCL Duo.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But if you're interested in coming on the show, in particular, if you've got a unique itinerary, a unique story, we love telling the stories of our listeners, and we love having new guests on the show. But we'll just say thank you.
And Sam, you have to tell them how to then get to us. So if you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can always reach out to us over email at dclduo@gmail.com or info@dclduo.com, or you can just head to dclduo.com and click on the button that says Be Our Guest. So there you go. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Samantha, once more for coming on the show. And to all of you out there listening, we'll talk to you next time.